Thanks for joining us. First question is just introduce yourself. What should people know about you?
Well, my name is Jessica Velez, and I am a mother, grandmother, been a paralegal for about 25 years. I've also managed property here in Stockton, and most recently I started a nonprofit in 2021 called Red Rabbit Advocacy, and that focuses on homeless solutions and just outreach and support generally. Never planned to be in politics, but felt motivated to do so based off the past few years experiencing systemic roadblock in government.
Similar to what you're talking about right there, what made you want to run for mayor?
So I spend 6 days a week in the streets of Stockton supporting folks that are unsheltered in their pathway to regain stability and housing stability. We also provide services for individuals to get into rehabilitative resources for drug abuse, and also diversion programs for court proceedings or criminal actions. So after seeing and experiencing and working in the system for 3 years and really understanding the challenges that people face with disconnected resources, bridges that need to be put in place to fill in the gaps as far as accessibility for people. That was a big motivating factor initially. I also was getting frustrated with coming to city council, coming to other political leaders and asking for us to start moving forward with supportive transitional village for our homeless community, just not feeling heard. And then just having the understanding after living in Stockton for, since 1982, I've been here, the streets need to be healed, and that encompasses homelessness, drug abuse, and criminal activity. We need to address these basic 3 issues in order to be able to invest in our city, to bring jobs, to be able to make it a more pleasant and healthy place to live.
There are, of course, a lot of issues facing the city, and I'll ask you about a few of those in this interview, but for you, what's the top issue and why?
So the top issue for me is homelessness. I think that spreads over into so many different avenues of concern in the city. Obviously, people equate garbage dumping with the homeless. While a portion of that is definitely true, there's also illegal dumping that happens that does get, put off onto the homeless as well. The drug use in the homeless encampment is evident as well. The retail theft that goes along with not just homeless. There are people that are doing these runouts as well, but creating stability for that demographic of people, I believe, will also in turn cut down on crime, cut down on the theft, and making the real connections for drug addictive people to be able to get those resources. So I think that by fixing that, it will affect several different areas.
Okay, and you mentioned crime there too. A top concern for many voters is crime. How would you use the limited authority of the mayor's office to make any changes when it comes to crime?
Well, with what I've been doing for the past few years, I work very closely with some of our police officers, very engaged in what they see as an issue or solutions to different problems. I know that they are understaffed, underpaid, overwhelmed, and being in the position of mayor, I am very aware that it's basically the same as being another city council member, but with the capability to work on getting everyone to collaborate and really to come to the table, leaving egos at the door. That's what has to happen for us to see real change. We can't continue to function in cliques or, I don't like your idea, so I'm going to be bullheaded and just not communicating. The key, what I see and what I've discussed with other people in office currently, the lack of communication is what is really slowing progress for Stockton, and that's between city and county, listening to our police officers that are boots on the ground, They have great ideas and they have great suggestions, and I believe that they should be, heard as well in resolving these issues.
And on that same page, like we were just talking about, police officers have been stretched thin with the police department dealing with staffing shortage. How would you work with your council colleagues, the city manager, and the police union to recruit more officers and make Stockton PD a department where people want to work?
Well, for one, they spend a tremendous amount of time chasing homeless people around, doing displacements. I'm present at a lot of those and receive the notifications from PD. So by creating a transitional village and getting people stable, that will alleviate our police officers to stop having to do those things. I also believe that providing forward-thinking incentives to get officers to come here with regard to maybe working with local banks on mortgage rates and providing incentives for officers to actually purchase homes in the neighborhood that they're serving, requiring them to maintain that home as a primary residence for a certain amount of time in order to get those benefits. I think that we need to recruit from our troubled neighborhoods. I want to engage our police officers in more community-based policing, celebrating their victories instead of just talking about the bad. I think that creating a culture change in Stockton and integrating our police officers to be able to be seen as the protectors and servers that they should be. But again, that will require staffing. So I think that that is a very important key piece to that. And I know that Stockton has the funding to do that. So there is really no excuse to not spend the money.
As you're well aware, homelessness is of course another big issue. The city spends millions of dollars each year on that. What do you think the city is not doing, or what would you like to change in that area?
So the county has spent $200 million on homelessness. The average was upwards of $70,000 per homeless person. And for the past 3 years, I have really been fighting to try to start a transitional village for the homeless. My agency has received one grant in the past 2 years, and that was for $50,000. And I just did my stats on homeless, the people that I've been able to get housed. We've had 44 households housed in the last year and a half, 107 people, half of those children. And by attending the meeting at Continuum of Care and seeing those stats that were given back to us by the state, they're stating that the entire county has only housed 6 individuals. So if they're getting stats like that on $200 million spent and 6 people, and here I am with 50,000 and I've got 107 people housed, then we need to be looking at where we're funding, what organizations are getting funded. I would like to see outcomes, and I've asked city leaders for those outcomes, and apparently that's a missing piece to the puzzle. So I know that our city manager is very much interested in having a good return on what we're spending. So I think that is extremely lacking in the documentation as to what our city and county is funding and the actual outcomes of that. I definitely want to see a transitional village started here. It is low cost and it allows people to stand on their own feet as opposed to continuing the handouts, the shelter model. There's plenty of people out there that just need some basic stability, and then we can triage them out from that point to the resources that they need unique to their situation.
And I speak to your backside, that's a pretty stark difference between what your organization's done versus the county. Is there any glaring difference that you notice, like between what your organization does and what the city's doing?
So I'm a firm believer in warm handoffs. Instead of just saying, okay, here, this is what you have to go do, you need to know that client and what their position is. I'll give you a quick example. I have one client, he's been homeless for almost 20 years, and he has not had an ID that entire time. He needed to get his birth certificate. So if you can think about DMV, you're a 6'5" guy, you're not necessarily clean, you walk with a limp, and you're walking into a governmental office that you haven't been in 20 years. The stark contrast to how the process is from 20 years ago is completely overwhelming. So if I take him in there, I'm like, okay, come on, we're gonna do this. I guide his way. It's fast. We're in and out in 20, 30 minutes. Any other time, he's gonna walk in there and be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, and then walk out. So because I handhold for the first visit, and then the next one, when we go to sign up for food stamps or what have you, I'm like, okay, you can do this. Just walk in and do that. It's the guided direction. It's the warm handoff. I'm not doing it for them. I'm making them walk it. But we have to keep in mind that a lot of these people that are chronically homeless they haven't done that. They don't know how to do it anymore. So they need to be shown so that then they can pick it up and go run from there. So accountability for their own needs, I enforce that, but I'm also there to be the voice of reason or just the emotional support that they may need at that time.
Like you said, guide them a little bit.
Yes.
Switching gears to now, a city survey that was conducted back in 2023 that showed 70% of people felt an excellent or fair quality of life here in Stockton. Is that 70%, is that number okay to you? And if not, how do you think that could be changed?
I'm actually kind of surprised it's that high. On social media, you see all the complaining and, a lot of it rightfully so. I think that we can do much better. I think that Stockton has the potential to be a very healthy lifestyle, beautiful place to live. We have a lot of potential amenities here, especially with our waterfront. I lived in Denver for about 10 years, and I was able to see a city that was thriving, had a expansive cultural arts district, lively downtown, open, almost 24 hours a day, and the emphasis on outdoor living and being active. Well, we're in California, so we have a pretty good weather most of the time, and I feel that Stockton could do a lot more to encourage more outdoor activities. But again, we can't invest in this kind of stuff until we get our streets under control, because then you're just basically throwing good money after bad. Investing in parks doesn't make sense to do when you have 20, 30 people living in them. So that's what my game plan for the city is, to really go hard on those top 3 issues, start remedying the drug use in public and in private, make clear pathways for transitional housing through our city, get people in the pipeline to restore their lives. Then we're going to have businesses actually interested in coming here, because they're going to see the positive moves that we're making to make it a better place to live. So more jobs, more opportunity. You're going to have people that are coming out of their rehabilitative programs ready to go to work. So, I think that will raise that number quite a bit.
Okay. And, we talked about homelessness, crime. Those are some of the big issues facing the city. There, of course, are more. As mayor, what would your top priorities be?
Well, as I said, top priorities are homelessness, crime, and the drug epidemic. I just lost a client to fentanyl overdose about 2 weeks ago, and he was 24 years old. What I intend on working to change is the culture of Stockton. We have people, our youth, that are now 40-something years old that were neglected a long time ago. They've developed a culture of criminality and just continuous recidivism in the criminal justice system. That's been passed down to generation after generation. So in order to truly fix that, you have to deal with the adult on this end with consequences for their actions, coupled with opportunity, cognitive behavioral therapy, and actual career training. Not just go find a job, but actual apprenticeship so that they're making a livable wage. By doing this, then the children are going to see that example provided by their parents now, and it's going to start to change that culture. So I think that addressing, obviously, the homeless issue, the crime, and the drug epidemic, creating pathways for people that are experiencing addiction to opioids, real pathways, immediate solutions, not you have to wait 2 weeks to get into a respite center when you're trying to get off fentanyl, because you may not live that long to get into that program. And that's what I've witnessed doing the work that I do. My young man that I lost was in foster care. He was in the streets at 11 years old, and then caught up in criminal activity and spent 6 years incarcerated at the age of 16, released at 22 with no life skills. And so the system failed him. You know, we can do better. So I think that by fixing those top 3 issues, it's going to pave a way for success for Stockton.
Switching gears again a little bit, most people wouldn't likely describe you as a standard politician. You have served on the homeless committee here in Stockton, but you haven't held a citywide elected other role. What would you say to voters who might be skeptical about your political experience?
Well, I think that if you look at the candidates that are running, with the exception of Mr. Khan, everybody else combined, their political experience is upwards of 60 years serving this city. We're not in good shape right now. So the reason that I'm running is because I think that Stockton needs to look at a different approach to fixing these issues. I have lived here since 1982. I understand what's happening in the streets. I am understanding, I understand the process of government. I haven't run in politics before, I haven't worked in politics, but I have been I'm very interested in politics. At least I was several years ago. When Obama was running, that's really when it kind of grabbed me because of the excitement over it, and I started to really pay attention to it. The last 3 years, I've spent a lot of time with meetings with our politicians, attending city council meetings, speaking at city council meetings, being a point of contact for our current politicians, asking questions about our biggest issue of homelessness. I think that having a fresh perspective, not being beholden to anyone. I am not endorsed by anybody. I have the community that's supporting me. I don't want any endorsements because I want the people's voice to be heard. I want the people to become part of this process again. I feel like they're not heard, they're not listened to, their minutes of time to speak at city council meetings are dwindling down. I think that it really needs to be a return to the people and what we want to see have happen. I'm confident in my experience working at a high-powered corporate law firm for at that one I was there for 10 years, 25 years total experience. I've worked with very difficult personalities. Managing 5 attorneys at one time with different personalities is pretty difficult, and I did very well with that. So I don't want to bring any ego to the table. I truly want to listen to everyone's opinion, and we need to make the best decisions for Stockton going forward and put politics aside. So I think that puts me in a unique position to be able to lead.
All right. And final question, why should people vote for you?
I think that what I've been doing in this community is really a statement to what I'll do going forward. As I said, I've gotten 1 grant in the past 3 years, and the rest of the money that I have received is just basically private donations from our community. I have worked pretty much without any salary for 3 years, and 6 days a week, up to 16 hours a day sometimes. My commitment is to this city. I'm not just a bleeding heart for the homeless, but I recognize that if we fix these issues, it's going to affect everyone's way of life. It's going to make the city better for all of us. And I have no ulterior motive. I have no ego-driven purpose. This truly is just to make our city better. I love Stockton. My daughter won't come visit me here right now because she's too afraid to, and I would like to change that. It's a shame that it's gotten to this point, but after leaving for 10 years and coming back, I can see the decline in this city, and it's not okay with me. So I hope that people see that I have a true intent and genuine desire to make the city better.